Let's get on. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Rundown. It is December 16th, and like always, got this day in sports history going over Joey Football Heisman winner Joe Burrow for the LSU Tigers. A couple other awards that we're going to go over, this, that, and the other. It was a short, quiet week. The midshipmen clapped the Army in the President's Cup, and then we're going to hop over to Week 15 NFL recap. Tons of crazy shit popped off. The NFC and AFC playoff picture is starting to develop, but there's still tons of questions that need to be answered. Jameis Winston had a record-setting day again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Cleveland Browns are the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL. If you weren't aware, we're going to do a deep dive into that and life of being a Dallas Cowboys fan. Good Lord, help me. But to get all the nitty-gritty things in football and sports, you got to stick around, and I'll see you there. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Rundown, brought to you by Modern Sports Media Group. I apologize. I'm just going to put this all out in the air to start things off. Sorry we didn't upload on Thursday night, Friday morning, as we usually promise. Your boy got reconstructive surgery on his fucking face. Just kidding. I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, so I wasn't trying to talk.
They couldn't fix the face.
Yeah,
they couldn't fix the face.
That's beyond gone. That is forever just going to look like someone just clapped my skull with a shovel. But, yeah, I didn't want to talk to y'all with essentially, fucking bloody tampons in the back of my mouth and trying to get that through the mic. So it was for y'all's good, because I didn't want to put y'all through that struggle, but just want to put that out there for you. I'm sorry, but like I said, welcome to another episode of The Rundown. We're glad to be back after a short vacation. I'm your host here, Dakota Unger, and with us our very own co-host, Peyton Meinl. How you doing today, Skippy?
I'm doing good. We got a lot to go over, as usual. I'm excited for this episode.
Yeah, business is booming. But as promised, this day in sports history, what you got?
I got December 16th, 1972. The Miami Dolphins go 14-0, the only undefeated team in NFL history. And I know everyone's like, oh, the Patriots went 16-0. They lost the Super Bowl, so they didn't go undefeated.
That is very true.
Anyone who tries to hit us up about that bullshit, just miss me with it.
But the Patriots did. Now shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that. That was a hell of a year they had, though. I'm not going to lie. With that whole Randy Moss TB12 thingy they had going on there. That shit was crazy. But technically, like you said.
That was back when Eli Manning was cool.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get to him in a second, but
Eli Manning was fucking the dude back then.
Yeah, he was that guy for sure. I mean, living in the shadow of his brother, but he got 2 chips, so you can't knock him. What I got, 2013 Heisman winner, Jameis Winston, stood on that podium loud and proud for the Florida State Seminoles and did his thing. Also capped off the year with a national championship. I fucking love this dude. And the reason I say Jameis is I was talking to a homeboy at work today. He's in his championship round of his fantasy league, and he's got Jameis Winston, and he pronounced it Jameis because he's fancy, he's nice, he lives life on the edge, he's rugged, he's different, and I like that. So Jameis Winston is my dog. But yeah, got the Heisman, capped off a great year with the national championship. Obviously went on to the Buccaneers and has been slinging that fucking thing like Uncle Rico ever since. Bet you I can throw that over a mountain. Yeah, but then it was a short, quiet weekend for college football. We had was it the President's Cup, right? Is that what these two dickheads are competing for?
Yeah, the President's Cup, trophy, award. Navy finally took it back.
Yeah, we've been on the short side of this wishbone here for sure. I mean, I think the last time we won was in 2015, so what was it? Yeah, 3-year snide that we got off of. I mean, I think we had like 12 straight before Army got on their little streak, so if it's a pissing contest, we're still well down the stream.
Yeah, a historic run of dominance by Navy
100%.
Before this little 3-game skid.
Yeah, Perry, the quarterback for the Midshipmen, had 29 carries for 304 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also a single-game rushing record.
That's Mr. Perry to you. That's Mr. Perry to you.
Okay, all right, chill out, butter bars. Yeah, single-game rushing record for the Midshipmen, which is pretty impressive considering they are a triple-option team and they've been running that bitch for a very long time down the gridiron. But he's got a little bit of wiggle in his step. Got a little Texas two-step in, a little fancy feet, making people miss in the open field. It was tight through the first half, 14-7, and then the Midshipmen just kept pouring it on. And Army, they weren't sure what to do. I mean, per usual, that's not a direct shot. That is a direct shot. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm glad Navy's back on top. I mean, as you know, if you've been following this podcast, me and Peyton are both veterans, both served in the United States Navy for old Uncle Sam on that blood contract. But that's all, I mean, the NCAA football action. But now off the field, of course, we're going to get to the award ceremonies. Mr. Joe Burrow, the LSU Hold That Tiger legend, statues being built right now, won the Heisman. I believe it was the most unanimous Heisman win ever, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
In like almost every metric, like largest margin of victory, most percentage of first place on the ballots, largest number of ballots returned, like from the writers that vote, fucking like every statistical measure for the Heisman, he won.
Any AWS stat they could come up with for recording votes, that was it. And he broke all those records. But yeah, I mean, like I fucking told y'all, if y'all short on a little bit of cash coming up on the holidays, baby mama's not going to stay with you unless you give them diamond rings, maybe a couple of hoops. I told you to punch that fucking ticket since week 2 of this podcast. Week 2 in the college football slate. I've been telling y'all. This man he's taking it home. I saw him light up them Longhorns, and he just had that demeanor. He has that look in his eyes. He's got that get it done kind of attitude, and he's got a bunch of electric motherfucking receivers around him. And Coach O's, leading the charge with that team, and look at him now, doing pretty fucking well for himself. But he also took away quite a bit of things. Christmas came very early for Joe Burrow. He also took home the Maxwell Award, the Davey O'Brien, the Walter Campbell National Player of the Year Award, the AP Player of the Year Award, Johnny Unitas Award, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, and the Heisman Trophy, obviously, that we just talked about. But if you're the Heisman winner and you're a quarterback, typically you always get all of those awards following up to it. Now, I remember, except for Colt McCoy, did Colt McCoy win a Heisman? I don't think he did.
Are you serious? No. Absolutely not.
I believe he was in the...
Has any Texas quarterback won a Heisman?
Oh, bro, chill the fuck out. Huh? What are you getting so fucking...
Colt McCoy.
He was in the runner-up like 2 years in a row. What? That's not like a far...
Wait, he was the runner-up in the national championship to Alabama, too.
He played the first...
All-time runner-up, Colt McCoy.
He played the first drive. And you're still shooting that shot.
Still shooting that shot. He was the runner-up in the Redskins quarterback fucking competition for the last 10 years, it seems like. Fucking...
All right, so...
He's number one at being the runner-up.
Are we talking resumes and bowl games right now? Is that what we're going off of? Is that what we're doing?
I'm just talking his resume and life. Colt McCoy has always been the runner-up.
All right, well, y'all have been the runner-up to USC for y'all's entire lives, so congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right.
We'll highlight a couple other awards. Coach of the Year, Ed Orgeron. Obviously, that's kind of a no-brainer. Brian Kelly was last year. Obviously fell a little short of that. But the Doak Walker Award, Best Running Back in the Nation, Jonathan Taylor has won it back-to-back years. Was snubbed of the Heisman Award as well, but that's okay.
Chubba Hubbard had a better year.
Yeah, he did. I mean, there was a couple of guys that I think that, probably should have been in there that had pretty substantial years, especially for their ball club. But it is what it is. Did you see, how many few amount of votes Chase Young got for second? I think, he got 0, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a defensive player, I think you have to be like a DB. You'd have to be like a honey badger, like Tyrann Mathieu, and then also do like some punts. Like Desmond Howard, he was the last defensive player to win the Heisman, I believe. And he returned kicks. He fucking punts. You can't just play defense. You can't even play running back.
Yeah, like the year, exactly. The year that Jonathan Taylor's had, especially last year and this year, Chuba Hubbard, just a shit ton of guys. Like ETN's had a really good year. Like, I think the last running back was Derrick Henry. But I forget what the side-by-side comparison was. But I believe Jonathan Taylor had better numbers than Derrick Henry on like fewer carries, and he wasn't even mentioned in the Heisman. And Derrick Henry won in 2015. So it was like, I guess it's just the competition at bay, which is unfortunate because, I mean, you had Joe Burrow's year, which was, extremely dynamic, especially for an SEC LSU quarterback to have a year like that. Chase Young obviously was just a fucking human wrecking ball. It was probably the most noticeable defensive impact player we've seen in a long time to even be considered in the Heisman. So, I was hoping they would get a little bit more love. It's kind of like, I feel like they just put him in there to just please people. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and Chase Young being in there ruined Justin Fields' entire campaign. It was clearly going to be Jalen Hurts or Burrow, and it was obviously Burrow. You don't have your defensive lineman invited to the Heisman and win it as a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I say. I feel like it was just like a political stunt. They're like, oh, no, we love defensive players too. Like, they play. I mean, yeah, for him to win, he's going to have to score 30 total touchdowns as well as have, 16 and a half sacks and set the single-season record and literally deteriorate anything an offense is trying to do. But, I mean, shit, you're not throwing the rock, young man. Good luck next time. It's kind of how it feels, but it is what it is.
For sure.
I might butcher this. The Blintikoff Award. I don't know if I said that correctly. Jamar Chase, LSU receiver. Obviously, he had a fucking insane year. Over 1,400 yards receiving and definitely in double digits for touchdown off the top of my head. And the rest, I mean, are kind of so-so. They're interior linemen, linebackers, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but it is what it is. So congrats to Joe Burrow. Congrats to Coach O on a fantastic year for LSU, and they've been doing their fucking thing. Bowl season's right around the corner. We can't wait to dive into that. I know there's a ton of y'all out there that are going to be pulling the trigger on bowl season. That's a huge time to get into betting because those are some super, like...
My favorite season.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like an early Christmas. It's like Hanukkah. Every day there's a bowl game. Every day you're making some money. So we're going to have Peyton's Parlays coming up next episode right before we rip into the bowl game kickoff weekend. And definitely try and win you some sweet, fat stacks of cash. But we're going to hop over to the NFL schedule stick. I'm going to relay it over to Peyton. Let's get it cracking.
Let's get it on. Fucking lot went on this weekend, but we're going to bounce back to the Thursday night game. Ravens-Jets, 42-21. Lamar had 5 touchdowns, but this was a close game going into half. And that sounds like the wildest thing you've ever heard, but if you watch this game, it was – a better team would have beat the Ravens.
Okay.
Like, am I crazy? Or Sam Darnold, they were right there at half. If they would have gotten a field goal or a touchdown, you're talking 14-21, 10-21.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Because Sam Darnold was carving him up. I know we were talking, via text messages. Pick up the phone, baby. During the first half, we were like, shit, man, Sam looks good. Like, he was throwing some strikes, making some good reads, especially under pressure. And like you said, if they would have, took advantage of a couple other opportunities, they definitely would have been Jets up going into half or a very close game, like you said. Because, the Ravens didn't really take off until the third. It was definitely still within arm's length for sure going into the half. But I hear you. If it was a better team, yeah, it might have got a little weird, but to say for sure beat the Ravens, I don't know, but it would have been a lot closer than 21-42.
Yeah, and just your defense. The Jets' defense was playing good, and the biggest thing was their offense was going like 3 and out.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where the defense was just, you can't defend Lamar Jackson that long. Time of possession becomes an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ravens did clinch the AFC North with that win. They're currently in the driver's seat in the AFC. They should get a number 1 seed, home field throughout. But,
Yeesh. Scary.
Got a couple games left. Anything can happen.
It's very true. Any given Sunday, baby.
They got to travel to Cleveland, the team that walloped them earlier in the season. Probably not as worried about this Cleveland team, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
And then they got Pittsburgh, who was just essentially eliminated from playoff contention.
Right.
But yesterday, a lot of games going on, starting with the Pats Bengals. New England won 34-13. Okay. Did New England look good enough for you to think that they're a problem in the playoffs? Are you worried about this New England team, or do you think that, probably not going to get home field, probably not going to get the bye?
Right.
How are you feeling?
I'm like, it's, if you cannot only tell, by the way, I'm stuttering over my own fucking words, but yeah, it's confusing, man. It's like the Patriots were super bailed out because Dalton threw 4 interceptions. This guy, like, for some reason doesn't understand that Stephon Gilmore is the best defensive back in the league right now. He's been red fucking hot. He has gone toe to toe with all the top tier receivers in the league, and more times than not has come away on top. But this motherfucker just kept slinging that bitch straight at Stephon Gilmore, despite who was running the route, what the coverage was, the situation, and it came with 4 picks. So, they just kept giving the Patriots the ball in good field position. Tom Brady was 15 for 30 or 29, 128, 2 touchdowns, nothing crazy. Sonny Michel was, basically just carrying the rock. But against the Bengals defense, I don't feel good for the Patriots, man. I know Tom Brady came out earlier in the season, during a couple post-game interviews, was saying, our strength is our defense and special teams. Obviously the offense isn't clicking how it's supposed to be, especially at this time of the year where he's had, obviously, the extent of the season to, figure out and gel with his receivers, and they've been banged up here and there. So, I don't know, in the AFC with the Chiefs, the Texans, the Ravens, all these teams that can score at a high clip and quickly, it worries me because if the Patriots fall in a hole, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we might have a little Golden State scenario going on here, a little changing of the guard in the AFC this year.
Ooh, that's a hot take. Yeah, I like the Bills. They're right up on them motherfuckers' heels too.
Yeah, I think the Bills, they could go a little crazy. They could win the division.
Yeah, 100% they can. If they win out, beat the Patriots, they'll be in that number 1 spot, dude. And the Patriots away from Gillette is not a good picture if you're a Boston sports fan.
Yeah, the Patriots, they got an uphill climb. You know who likes uphill climbs? The NFL leader in opening drive interceptions. Your man, my man, Jameis Winston. His 5th opening drive interception. But he just had to get it out of his system because then he threw for 458 and 4 touchdowns. 38-17, the Bucks beat the Lions. Jameis Winston is an animal. I love him. What do you got to say about our man?
Jameis Winston, Jameis, my dog, your dog, pulling for this guy. It's crazy to say, you brought it up once or twice that we were like, where is Jameis Winston going? When are the Bucks going to cut their ties from this guy? He's had years to, make a difference and stuff like that, and he just never really did. And then now he's leading the league and first drive interceptions. He's also leading the league in passing yards. He's the only player in NFL history to have back-to-back weeks for throwing over 450 yards. This man is in a record all by himself of elite throwing ability. And I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but you were telling me earlier this week he's got a chance to be the first 30 and 30 picks and 30 touchdowns quarterback, or is it 2020? Because he's over 20 already.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting at 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. And he's leading interceptions like it's not even close. Like Phillip Rivers threw fucking 4 yesterday, and he's beating him 24-18. Like Phillip Rivers has rookie numbers compared to this guy, but he also has 30 touchdowns. Like Jameis Winston could go 30-30, and the Bucs got to pay him.
Yeah, they do.
Like, are you going to draft a guy that does better than fucking 450 yards and 4 touchdowns like almost every week? There's no way.
Yeah, there's not a chance.
And Mike Evans was out too.
Yeah.
Don't forget Mike Evans was out this game, and he still just butchered him.
Yeah, and even I think Chris Godwin went out late too, or he got tweaked up for a little bit and missed a little bit of time. But yeah, I mean, I'll fucking bite the bullet on this one too. Like I was like, yeah, this team's only going to go as far as Mike Evans does. Like as many 50-50 balls he can come down with, that's the extent of their offense. And Jameis Winston just said, hold these, and just kept slinging that bitch. Keeping Bruce Arians on the edge of his seat with the ER and EMS like right next to him on the sideline. But I mean, the dude's winning now. They're 7-7, 5-3 in the division. I mean, it's fucking insane. Like, it's great. They only had, their leading rusher was 23 yards on the ground with Jones the second. They only had 49 total yards rushing, and they won 38-17. I mean, it was the Lions, but still, this shit is, just pure entertainment. It's just everything you want to see on the football field if it's not your team. So, thank you, Jameis Winston, for another entertaining weekend of football. We appreciate it. Please keep up the hard work.
I don't know how Bruce Arians does it, man. That guy.
Yeah, he's like, all right, 50 slants.
They need extra doctors on the sideline.
Yeah, 50 slants, 3rd and 2, James, let's move the sticks. He's out there, Oma, Mike Fade. And he just throws that bitch into triple coverage, 60 yards downfield, and Mike Evans or Godwin come down for it, and Bruce Arians is like, he has to take a seat, splash a little Gatorade on his face, and then keep it moving. But yeah, I fucking love Jameis Winston. He's the best, dude.
Yeah. Then we have a team clinching a playoff spot. We had the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, 21-13. Once again, Aaron Jones leading the team to victory, as expected.
Yep.
And the Bears, they had their shot. Yep. They ran that little lateral at the end of the game to tie it up. That guy would have pitched it. They would have scored.
No, dude. One of the best that was actually one of the best last-second plays, ditch effort I've ever seen. They were, really moving that bitch. People were grabbing it, making a few guys miss, pitching it, not holding on to it too long. And then it came down to the last guy. And, he even looked over. I believe it was Allen Robinson that would have got scored. He, walked in. He, looked over at him and just had it in his hands and just took that bitch to the dirt, bro. I was like, what are you doing? I was so pissed. That shit had me on the edge of my seat, dude. It was one of the best run, last-ditch efforts, I've ever seen in the NFL platform for sure. And, of course, in Bears fashion, they had to fuck it off and drop another one to their division rivals, the Green Bay Packers. But, yeah, Aaron Rodgers looked like shit. 16 for 33, 203, and 1 touchdown. He was also only sacked 1 time. So you can't say the pressure was insane. Aaron Jones.
Jameis Winston has a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly, and he's almost thrown for 30 interceptions in the season. But, I mean, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, they combined for 100 yards rushing. Aaron Jones had 2 touchdowns, so he was doing what he had to do. And we've said it time and time again. Aaron Rodgers is protected by that kind of bend-don't-break defense and the legs of Aaron Jones. And it's crazy to say that he might be at the end of the line, man. We used to always, rave about how this guy was, the GOAT, the god, the most talented quarterback we've ever seen in NFL history on a shitty team. And he literally has to, drag these guys to the end zone, by the strength of his arm and all this shit. And now it's to the point where, yeah, you've had kind of, all right receivers. You never really had great receivers to start with. Yeah, you got Devontae Adams. You had a couple guys here and there. But it's now you probably have your best running back you've ever had. Your defense has always kind of been the same, other than like when they had like prime Clay Matthews and like Clint Dixon and stuff like that. But that's really it. So, I mean, you can't really blame it on anybody else.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's been the narrative his whole career, and now he's just like off the wayside.
Yeah,
so.
Aaron Rodgers has become like one of the weaknesses of his team. Is he
one of those
covered up the weaknesses that entire time?
Yeah, is he one of those guys now that you kind of let slip in your fantasy draft?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the only way Aaron Rodgers is like making it back to a Super Bowl was when Peyton Manning won one with Denver, where he had a great running game and he was carried by like a number one defense that just destroyed.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Rodgers, he needs to keep his running backs and they need to invest in that defense if they want to go deep.
Yeah, 100%.
With him still.
Yeah, I mean, we've been calling them frauds for weeks. I mean, they're sitting at 11-3, 7-1 at home, and it's just like it's crazy. We've been calling them frauds like week in and week out, and they're gonna get fucking embarrassed in the NFC playoffs, dude. Like, unless they play the Cowboys, which because you just don't know what the Cowboys are. Like nobody knows, and they're literally Green Bay is literally Dallas's kryptonite, their Achilles heel. So that'll be like their free pass if that happens to pan out. But yeah, they're gonna get anybody else. They're gonna get fucking embarrassed, and they're like, oh well, told y'all. I mean, y'all just play in a soft division, and you beat up on bad teams, and Aaron Jones has literally carried y'all to victory. So now you've been exposed. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, just the sorriest 11-3 team I've ever seen. But there's bigger fish to fry. In the AFC, the Texans bounce back. They're hot and cold every week.
Yeah.
Took down the Titans 24-21. And that division is still up in the air. The AFC South.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen?
I'll actually tell you exactly what's going to happen because the entire Texans season, it's been a pattern, and I'm a fan of patterns. You can also predict things in the future based off of patterns, but they'll lose one, win two, lose one, win two, lose one, win two, lose one, win two, lose one, win two. So they'll have a win against the Bucks, and then their last game is against the Titans again, and they lose. So if the Titans win out, they'll take the AFC South. But if the Titans drop one, and I guess, I don't know, and then the Titans end up beating the Texans again, then what's after the tiebreaker? Is it based off of win margin after that?
Head-to-head.
Head-to-head win margin.
The Titans have New Orleans this week, and then Houston the following week. So, I mean, they win those two.
Yeah, if they win
the AFC will, explode.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I want to say the Texans are going to beat the Bucks, but then again, Jameis Winston's been lighting shit up, and the Bucks are red hot right now, so that's not a for sure dub at all, especially at the Bucks. The Texans have a terrible defense, and I don't know, it could be weird, but that's literally the pattern the Texans have been following all year, and we'll see if it stays true when they need it most. But, yeah, AFC South up for grabs. That was a crazy fucking game. Tannehill is still playing well. I tweeted out, comeback player of the year and contention right now. He's got the highest QBR in the NFL since he's been starting. He has the highest completion, like yards per completion thing too, which is, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. And now he's 6-2 record since he's been starting. So I think it might be time to put some ink on that contract. You feeling that? Or are you still looking at elsewhere?
No, I definitely think the Titans, if they were to, we talked about it last week, bring back Ryan Tannehill on a 2-3 year deal and not pay him some crazy contract, they can go pick up a couple guys on offense, finish off that defense that's already one of the best in the league. Right. And they're right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. And, the AFC South, I thought when the Houston Texans got Deshaun Watson and, they had D-Hop and Will Fuller and like Duke Johnson and a couple of those other guys, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon. I was like, bro, they're going to run the fucking tables in the AFC South. 'Cause obviously the Jags have been shit. The Titans have just been like, a 500 team ever since Mariota got there. And I was like, damn, this shit, this is it. Like, this is going to be their league. They're going to get a couple playoff shots. Like, we'll see if D-Watt gets a Super Bowl or MVP early in his career. Like, this should be crazy. And then, here comes Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, they got JJ's always hurt. Jadeveon's gone. Will Fuller's in and out of the lineup. Deshaun Watson doesn't have a fucking line to save his life. They've had like 6 different running backs, and now it's a 50-50 jump ball which is insane to say, but the AFC South is definitely one of those divisions to tune into. The Titans are one of the, most red-hot teams in the entire league other than, I guess you could say, the Ravens because they have the best record. But
yeah, I mean, outside of them, you have Kansas City. This is a perfect segue. They beat the Broncos 23-3 in Kansas City in the snow.
Yeah.
There was Mahomes looked good. You had some Travis Kelce stats for us.
I did. Travis Kelce, if you learned anything in life or want to take away anything from this podcast, consistency is key to success. All good things are worth waiting for, this, that, and the other. You got to invest in yourself, whatever. Travis Kelce took that to heart, and this is now his 4th consecutive season with over 1,000 yards receiving as a tight end, which I believe is the NFL record as well. So, tip of the cap to TC, or TK. That's pretty fucking impressive, man, especially as a tight end. I know he's in a good system. He's got Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. They sling the ball all over the place, but, I mean, still from the tight end slot. In today's day and age, with all these different kind of, like, fucking linebackers that run 4.4s and safeties that are 6'3", 260, and corners that are fucking the more agile than cats, and he's out there running around, catching balls in like triple coverage and shit. Everybody knows if you can slow down Travis Kelce, you got a good chance to beat the Chiefs. So like I said, tip of the cap to him. That's pretty fucking impressive. That's I'm glad to see that. Like I said, consistency is key, and the tight end talk's kind of crazy right now. I mean, you got George Kittle Skittles holding it down. Travis Kelce's obviously doing his thing. Who would you put it?
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. You still got George Kittle Skittles at number 1?
Yeah, Kittle's still number 1 for me.
Yeah, I would have.
Travis Kelce's obviously second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zach Ertz has been amazing too. He's literally like that entire Eagles offense. But yeah, I'd have to give Kittle Skittles the leg up on that bitch because of his run block. I don't know if you saw his pancake block he had laughing in the end zone this weekend, but this dude just fucking bullies like
madman.
Yeah, he just bullies weak side linebackers and I mean defensive ends too. Like he'll walk them bitches out like to the hash mark and go toe to toe with them, which is pretty fucking insane. But yeah, so that was my 2 cents for Travis Kelce. Sorry if you're a Broncos fan, you had to hear me rave about that, but it is what it is. Be better.
That's right. And then we had the Giants and Dolphins, Eli Manning's last home start.
Yeah.
And in classic Eli fashion, 20 for 28, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a better way for him to end his career.
Yeah, final home game for Eli. Went out with a bang. I mean, yeah, it's the Dolphins, but hey, they were 3-11 coming into it. Fucking Giants were 2-11, so they were the underdogs. And like always, when he's an underdog, he comes out and shines. He's an underdog against the Patriots. Obviously, in the Super Bowls, did what he had to do, get the job done. And now his career, he's a 500 career record. So I think he's like 116 and 116, I believe, is the final number. If you're Eli, are you going to try and squeak that last one out, try and get over 500 in the win column, or risk dipping below 500?
I mean, if I'm Eli, I'm going to try to get a backup job and mentor a young quarterback and make, another $4 or $5 million a year for the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Regardless of the winning percentage, I would try to just pile up some more dough.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's 2-time Super Bowl champ. He has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
You could also just walk away.
Yeah, he's a for sure Hall of Famer, without a doubt. My only thing is you say, be a backup somewhere, mentor some young kids and, help them do their thing. But far as like off the gridiron, do you think he has the acting ability and like, camera time as like his brother Peyton does? Or do you think he'll maybe work his way up in the booth? Or is he just going to, be in the Giants press box every other weekend, just cheering for him and, just living his life on the couch and enjoying his retirement checks?
I think he's going to enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
I don't really see him being, a Tony Romo play-by-play kind of announcer, game commentator.
There it is. There it is.
I just don't see it with Eli. Probably chill, get his number retired, a couple of years, nice little montage video, and then get inducted into the Hall of Fame. So,
I hear that. Yeah, I couldn't picture him up in the booth. That shit would just be like, you imagine him and Booger up in the booth.
Dude, I picture him like Jason Witten, but like
Jason
more
Witten,
articulate, but less.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Booger, they're down by 8 with 10 seconds left. Do you think they should go for 2 right now, Eli? Yeah, I think they should kick the extra point and then shoot for an onside as well. It would just feel like it's just fucking 2 monkeys just up there just throwing shit at each other. So that'd be interesting. But yeah, I think you should enjoy the retirement checks and, ride off into the sunset as well. No offense, Eli. It's just that might not be your cup of tea. It's all right.
Not for everybody.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And then we have one half of the NFC least, Eagles, Redskins, in a little bit of a game.
Yeah.
The Eagles didn't really pull away with this until the end of the fourth quarter. They won it 37-27. Eagles are still in the thick of it.
They are. Them boys and the Philadelphia Eagles are both sitting at 7-7. We got the head-to-head matchup next week, which is crazy because we're undefeated in division play, but that's the fate of the NFC least representing in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, yeah, the Washington Foreskins made it a game. Dwayne Haskins actually is playing well. I don't know if you caught that last possession where he just just threw that shit backwards. And the Eagles recovered it and got a last-second touchdown as time was expiring. So the 37-27 looks decent, but that really wasn't the case. They scored that as time expired because Dwayne Haskins, I believe they had 10 seconds left, and it was third down. But instead of just throwing the ball away or trying to improvise, he was kind of getting wrapped up, and he just churned and chunked the ball over his shoulder. And then they fucking kicked it around, and the Eagles recovered it in the end zone and got a last-second touchdown. So I don't know what the fuck it was definitely a rookie moment for him. Actually, his second rookie moment. Remember, he got his first one. He was taking pictures over with the fans before the game was over.
Yeah. So
it's a second strike. So we'll see how far they'll let him go with that. It's probably a pretty short leash, but he was playing well. 19 for 28, 261, 2 touchdowns, no picks, wasn't sacked. On the flip side, though, it was a game, but Carson Wentz actually looked really good, man. I know we've been...
And Miles Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders, yeah, he's had a breakout year. He has been definitely the diamond in the rough for the Philadelphia rushing attack and receiving because he's pretty lethal out of the backfield as well. 6 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. But, yeah, Carson Wentz looked good, dude. I know we've been on air ripping this dude, ripping the Eagles, ripping Doug Peterson. The whole Dak Wentz debate, it's obviously still Dak, so I'm not gonna steer away from that. But he looked good. I know it's the Redskins, the good old Foreskins, but he was carving it up. 30 for 43, 266, 3 touchdowns. I don't know if you saw that throw he had on the run. I forget who the fuck caught it. It might have been Miles Sanders actually, where he was running to probably 2 steps away from out of bounds marker, just slung that bitch 3-quarter throw. Weaved it through 3 or 4 people. I didn't know where the fuck the ball was even going. I was like, who the fuck is this guy throwing it to? And out of nowhere, I think Miles Sanders just like squatting in the back of the end zone, just caught it and like fell down. And that bitch had some velocity on it too. The camera was having a hard time keeping up with it, but I was like, damn, this dude's dialed in. And it's crazy to see, like, we've said it, he's a good quarterback, just in a little bit of a slump or, having issues. Like, he didn't have Alshon, obviously. They're down to, like, they have to have a backup quarterback come in, which is already Greg Ward Jr. was a quarterback for Houston. So they have another quarterback playing receiver. And he's doing what he has to do with the weapons he's got. So I'm gonna take a little bit of firewood out of that dumpster and chill out with the Eagles because they got a shot, man. They come out, keep playing well against the Cowboys. They could be in the playoffs, which is interesting. But
yeah, we will see. Are you worried? Are you worried about the Eagles?
No, I'm not worried about the Eagles.
Of course you're not.
Yeah,
we just smoked the Rams.
We'll open that up here in a little bit. But
we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Then we had Seahawks and the Panthers. Seahawks won and improved to 11-3, 7-1 away.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks, they just lost Josh Gordon about 20 minutes ago, right before we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Suspended again. Not surprising at all if you know anything about Josh Gordon.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do my best Stephen A. Smith quote. Stay off the weeds. I don't know if you've seen that montage, but he has been preaching to Josh Gordon to stay off the weed for like years now. So please stop smoking the marijuana, the devil's lettuce.
I mean, as a Seahawks fan, it's kind of a matter of time. I mean, he gets signed by Seattle. Marijuana is legal, and it is everywhere in Washington.
Yeah.
I think the bigger issue is that MLB has come around and legalized marijuana. Like, the NFL just needs to remove that from its banned substances list. But
yeah,
rules are rules right now, so you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
The game, Russell Wilson, 20 for 26, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chris Carson goes for 133 and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And they give up 24 to Kyle Allen and Christian McCaffrey. This was also a Seahawks team that was down both starting defensive ends, 2 of their guards on offense, and their starting corner, Shaquille Griffin, was out. A win's a win.
Yep.
And thanks to the Falcons, the Seahawks are back in the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So, not a bad day to be a Seattle fan.
Y'all honestly should send a shit ton of Christmas gifts to Atlanta because then they beat the Saints and they beat
and the 49ers.
And the 49ers. Like, they play fucking lights out against the best teams in the league and then they just get shit on by everybody else. It makes no fucking sense. But they've been like y'all's right hand man. I don't know if Pete Carroll has got some tea on Dan Quinn or something, but that man is coaching them boys up when he's playing some juggernauts that are in the way of the Seahawks. But yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson played really well. Josh Gordon, not that, I mean, yeah, the suspension sucks. He is a threat on the field. He hasn't produced much for y'all. I mean, he had that one reception for 58 yards where Russell Wilson just threw a fucking nuke, just a beauty of a rainbow over the top of the defense, and Josh Gordon laid out for it and came down, which is pretty good. I mean, I was excited. I fuck with Josh Gordon. I'm a fan of him, despite him always being suspended. But yeah, it was nice to see him, get some productivity, and then DK had an early touchdown on a 50-50 ball, which is nice. Kyle Allen just couldn't shake the itch, man. He just kept turning over the ball at the wrong time. I mean, there's never a good time to turn over the ball, but when they were driving and they were in scoring position, that banged up defense had to make some plays to stop the bleeding, and they did what they had to do. And Kyle Allen was just trying to force it to whoever the fuck was somewhat open. Christian McCaffrey had a decent day as anticipated. But back to Josh Gordon. Did you see what he said? I think it was like yesterday before the suspension. I forget who he was having an interview with, but he was saying, yeah, I love, the city of Seattle. I love the people. I just gel with the community. It just feels like me. And I was like, oh, that's good. Like he's, coming back into his groove. Is it the boy that cries wolf though? Unfortunately. And like you said, Seattle legalized marijuana. It's in the air, and he's definitely got a nose for it. So he's probably just popping off a secondhand smoke. He's just like a pit bull, just running up to a fire hydrant, just soaking it all in. So unfortunately, got suspended again. Unfortunately for the Seahawks, obviously that's another weapon y'all don't have coming into the playoff time. But hopefully he can get right. I don't know. Probably not. It's too late. Let's be honest here.
I mean, Seattle, I'm sure, would take him back if he is able to return from this suspension, but we'll just see what happens, just like every other Josh Gordon suspension. Who knows?
Yeah, but before we leave this game, that reminds me, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, my dog, over 2,000 yards all-purpose on the season. Pretty impressive. I think he's the first player since 2015 to do that. So, tip of the cap to C-Mac. It still blows my mind that some people that even might be on this podcast that aren't me thought this guy was going to be a bust coming out of Stanford. So, just keep doing your thing, C-Mac. I'm pulling for you, big dog. And that's my boy. Sorry, just a quick snippet.
Yeah, I mean, I was wrong on Christian McCaffrey, and even with this amazing season he's having, he wasn't even the MVP in this game.
Okay.
I've thought about this a lot,
Okay.
Last week after the Rams lost. Russell Wilson is still the MVP.
Oh.
And I know they're going, Lamar, I get it.
Okay.
But let me just run through a couple quick numbers here.
Okay.
31st pass blocking offensive line in the league, Seahawks.
Terrible.
They are 29th in pass defense. They are 29th in sacks. They are 27th in total defense. And they are 21st in scoring defense.
Okay.
They are fucking in the bottom half of the league in almost every fucking statistical category. I believe they're the number 3 rushing attack. But they are the number 1 seed, and they are 11-3 in the NFL. That is Russell Wilson and no one else. Their third leading receiver, Will Dissly. He's been out for a fucking month and a half with a blown-out knee.
Okay.
Dude has not played in a month and a half, and he's third on this team in receiving.
Yeah.
Everything points to Russell.
Okay.
And I think just because everyone's gotten so used to it, it's just expected now.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. He probably won't win the MVP, but if you want to talk the most valuable player, not the offensive player of the year, you want to talk most valuable to a franchise, it's Russell Wilson. Hands down.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree with you on that. And because you cleared it up for me at the end, I was going to go on a tangent a little bit about, because a lot of people get the perception of like the MVP is like the most like flash in the pan, like having the most fun, the highlight plays. Like, don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson, we've been on air, quoted, said it a million times. This dude is a once-in-generational type player. He is extremely dynamic. Nobody has the keys on this guy. But that's not what the award's about. Like, he's got a fantastic defense. He has a really good run game. He has 3 really good tight ends that he can rely on. That's like literally the bulk of his throws. Like, he can throw the ball, don't get me wrong. He is accurate, and he can sling that bitch when he needs to. But they run, 3 tight end formations, I formations, all types of trickery-dickery in the backfield, and lets these tight ends slip down the field. And he'll, and if you watch the games, if you are a Ravens fan, he throws that bitch pretty high every time. Like, the tight ends are always having to go up and get it. And I mean, but they're all 6'4", 6'5", 260. And I forget what's their tight end's name? Will Hurst or whatever. He ran
Hayden Hurst, Mike Andrews.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst. He ran
they have a few.
Like 22.7 miles per hour as a tight end. That's like some of the fastest running backs in the league. So, like, he's got quite a few weapons. He's got a very good defense, obviously. And then when you have your whole team behind you and they believe in you, everyone's just going to play up. So, but don't get me wrong. He should win Offensive Player of the Year because he's fucking ridiculous. But most valuable to that specific team, if you took that player away, where would they be? It has to be Russell Wilson because of what you said. And this was another close game, and you read off his numbers. He damn near played perfect. And he still, even with Kyle Allen throwing 3 interceptions, it was still a tight game. So I hear you on that. I feel for you. The Seahawks Nation doesn't get a lot of recognition. And, I mean, now I do a podcast with you, and I kind of see the other end of that on social media. I feel for y'all a little bit because Russell Wilson and the nation's kind of accustomed to him doing that. And y'all are always, like, on the cusp. You know, like, y'all are really good, but, like, you know, not blowing teams out ever and, like, you know, running the super flashy offense. And, you know, Pete Carroll runs that Manila defense, that cover 3 zone, that, you know, bend don't break kind of shit. And y'all kind of get, you know, swept to the wayside in rainy Seattle. And, you know, it's unfortunately going to rain on Russell Wilson's MVP parade again. We might never see him get MVP, honestly. This dude's been playing like this his whole career.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
I mean, Seattle travels the farthest. Outside of teams that play in London, Seattle travels the farthest out of any team in the league, being in Seattle geographically. Through this week, they have the 3rd hardest schedule in football. Mm-hmm. This is an 11-3 team in the best division in the league.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what they're doing is this team wins. They've won 8 one-score games. Yeah. I mean, and that's all Russell.
Yeah, I hear you.
Without Russell Wilson, they win maybe 4.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Seahawks Nation podcast. No, sorry about the tangent. I hear you. I hear you.
I can't believe.
Yeah,
Russ is still MVP in my mind.
Yeah, we had to.
Anyone wants to talk to me about it, I got time.
Yeah, we kicked the door in on the Russell Wilson stat of the day and just let that pitch flood in for you, but. Sorry for the tangent, but I hear you. I had to chime in too. I feel you on that, so we'll see.
I'm fired up, dude. It just gets me fired up.
I'm sweating a little bit, yeah.
And then, I need
a glass of water. Yeah, fuck.
Jacksonville, Oakland, last game in the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr booed off the field. Fans refusing to leave. Minshew mania in full effect. Garner Minshew said after the game he's never seen more middle fingers in his life.
Yeah.
They were throwing trash on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Just a terrible way for Oakland to go out. And this is a team we were wrong about. We talked them up about 4 weeks ago. They were right there, and they just completely the bottom came out on this team.
Yeah, we fell for the bamboozle that Raiders Nation has been falling for in the black hole their entire lives. And I feel for them now because, like you said, I think it was, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were on like a 3 or 4 game win streak. They beat some good teams. They were 1 game back from the Chiefs. In the AFC West, they were playing red hot. Defense was making plays. No one could stop Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr was looking good. I mean, we were like, damn, watch out for these guys. Like, I mean, the Raiders are coming into town, boo-hoo, and then they fuck around and kill your ass. Not literally. I mean, I know the black hole, they have had cases of killing people, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about on the field. But, yeah, and they fucking, they pulled the rug on our asses, pulled the plug on the black hole, the final home game before they head over to Vegas. And I know what we talked about is Derek Carr going to Vegas. Yes, he is. Because this man probably will get killed in his sleep if he stays in Oakland any longer. Like you said, got booed, got trash thrown on him coming out. They're a tough fan base. I mean, they're loyal as hell, but they're wishy-washy. The black hole themselves almost represent the entire fan base of Philadelphia because they are the most hot and cold fan base ever. But I feel for them. They blew a 16-3 lead. Going into half, they blanked in the second half. Minshew mania. I mean, he was just handing out mustache rides to everybody, and it's sad to see, man. But the black hole is no more. They are moving on to hopefully bigger, better, and brighter things. I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of interesting cases and player misconduct that's gonna pop up in Vegas, but we'll see if Chucky and them boys can rally around there. And I don't know. Do you think the Raiders, the fans are going to travel over there? I mean, it's a short flight, but do you think they're going to move it? Or going to stay kind of be like San Diego and be like, nah, fuck y'all. We're the San Diego Chargers, not the LA
I
Chargers.
think it's going to be tough. Like, they're going to have a black hole. It'll never be the same.
Right.
And, I mean, some fans will travel, but, I mean, it's Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the Chargers in LA. Like, if you're going to plan a trip to Vegas, why not plan it when your team is also playing the Raiders, you know?
Right.
Gamble and go out Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday go watch your team kick the shit out of the Raiders. Like, that's a great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
All in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I think unless they get good fast, these first few seasons, it's going to be 50-50 in the stands between the home and away team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's Vegas. I didn't think of that dynamic as much. But I mean, you are the gambler. We do Peyton's parlays. You do know your way around the slot machines. That's a good vantage point, though, for sure. A little spin zone on that one. But yeah, I mean, if the Cowboys are playing the Raiders, I had a free weekend or whatever, I might
brand new stadium.
Might pull out the 401k, little baby girl's college money that I've been saving up in the piggy bank. I go to Vegas, play a little roulette, play a little craps, and go watch the Cowboys kick the shit out of the Raiders and wrap up my Sunday and head back into work with my chin held high like I'm Father of the Year Monday morning. So yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be 50-50 until the Raiders can really, establish like a new black hole. I don't know if they're going to change it up or whatever the fuck they end up coming up with, and really start like taking in that home field advantage. But it's going to be tough, like you said. I think a lot of the games for a long time are going to be 50-50 because it is more of a tourist attraction now. Not a lot of people are going like to Oakland, to cheer for their team because one, their lives are on the line, and two, like it's Oakland. Like, it's Oakland. It's the Bay. Like, it's cool. Whatever. But I know I'm not making that trip out there.
You don't have to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I'm not making that trip out there. So, but yeah, I hear you. That's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Another interesting dynamic is thinking about the Browns with Freddy Kitchens after this year. The Browns just got beat by the Cardinals 38-24. Kenyon Drake had 4 touchdowns. And the Browns came out and said they're sticking with Freddy Kitchens.
Yikes.
Which I posed the question to you. I think that's the worst decision we've heard all year.
Yeah, 1,000%, dude.
I mean, unless the Cowboys keep Jason Garrett, I don't think there's a worse organizational decision made.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because look at the picture. Like, let's take a step back. All right, let's just right back into wrapping up last season, coming into the offseason. Pretty productive year. What were they, 7-9, I believe? Whatever. Rookie quarterback, didn't have Odell. Had a couple guys defensively. Go into the draft, go into the offseason, pick up Odell. Jarvis Landry's still there. David Njoku is healthy, and he's a dynamic tight end. They got Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett. They drafted Greedy Williams. They made the right moves, drafted the right guys that can make an immediate impact. Baker's got another year under his belt. He's got one of the most dynamic receivers on the other side of Jarvis. They got Nick Chubb. They got a good running. They picked up Kareem Hunt, and he's been making an impact since he got back. And they're like, all right, last question mark, head coach, Freddy Kitchens, tub of mayo, wearing a orange suit, walking around, just trash. Just literally like a fucking Miley Cyrus wrecking ball through their entire fucking organization. And it's sad, dude, that they're going to stay with him and give him another shot. Like, Baker, what I forget, you were telling me during fantasy, because I took Baker way too early in my fantasy league. I'm not going to lie, I was on the Baker bandwagon so hard. What is he, like, even right now for touchdowns and interceptions?
Yeah, he has 17 across the board. 17 touchdowns, 17 interceptions.
It's rough.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's so rough.
Freddie Kitchens was promoted because the offense played well, and now in his first full year, outside of all the come get me, Odell's hernia injury, Baker's fucking ever-changing mustache, Super Bowl champs, outside of all the bullshit that the Browns have dealt with this season, Baker has regressed in every way from his rookie season. Like, he broke Russell Wilson's record for most passing touchdowns as a rookie quarterback, and he didn't even play the full season.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
17-17.
Freddy was kept there to help him develop, and he's regressed in every way possible, and they're going to keep him. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and even Baker too said he's like, I like the guy. Like, obviously you would if he was calling the plays and you had a really good season the year before. You'd be like, I like this dude. He helped me progress as a rookie, and not the best situation of Cleveland fucking Browns. Like, the only franchise in the last decade to not have a winning season, and that's the same organization that has the Detroit Lions. So just think about that. So that's the rookie Baker Mayfield situation he's coming into, and. They only regress and get worse is just the biggest question mark I could possibly think of for the entire Cleveland Browns. I don't know if you saw the little screenshot that Fox Sports got, but they had a screenshot of Freddie Kitchens' face on the third and whatever, and he literally was talking on the mic and said that I don't know what to do, and just put his play card down and just shook his head and laughed. The guy doesn't even know what fucking plays to call and what situation to capitalize for his team against the fucking Cardinals. But don't get me wrong. Well, let's not shy away from the Cardinals too much. We've been telling y'all that they're a team not to fuck around with, that they can sneak around and ruin your season. I mean, despite the Browns not having the best year.
I think in any other division, the Cardinals are an 8-8, 9-7 team.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, after this game, you had multiple Browns, was the report. Not just Jarvis Landry saying to the Cardinals, "Come get me," which we spoke about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Earl Thomas leaving his mark on the league, the first player when he ran into Dallas's locker room and said, "Come get me."
Yeah.
And now it's the chorus coming out of the Browns locker room.
Yeah.
Odell, Jarvis.
I'm sure
everyone wants out of there.
Yeah, I'm sure just about everybody is, taking a peek at the grass is greener on the other side of the gridiron if you're a different team than the Browns for sure. And, I mean, it just fucking sucks, dude. I was excited for the Browns to be good. I know it's still a little premature to say that because they still have a chance. They have the players. They have the personnel. Obviously, they need to get figured out as far as the coaching. But I was super stoked for them to be good and shake up some noise in the AFC. They beat the fucking Ravens early in the year. The Steelers were down and out. They had a chance to run away with the division. And then they just fucking shit the bed. Freddie Kitchens just, kept eating his play cards and forgot to call whatever fucking play. And he's like, all right, go out there, Baker, do what you got to do. And he came out and said that he's not worried about his job, being the Browns head coach. And if you look at that in hindsight, he's probably talking about, I'm not going to.
Maybe he knew something we didn't.
Well, yeah, if you look at it in hindsight, he's probably I'm not going to put my energy towards worrying about me getting fired. I'm going to focus on the next week. But then again, it's the way he said it, I don't care about my future as a coach for the Cleveland Browns is if you're the owner, you're that's as the kids say, there's some bad vibes, coursing through the Cleveland Browns team in the locker room, and that's not the guy that you want at the helm for sure, especially when you're trying to turn around this franchise for better things. But I don't know. We'll see. They said they're sticking with him, but it is the NFL. It is a business. Flip a coin. You think you might have good job security for a couple of years, and then you come in, think you're going to swipe your card and open the door, and it shit says denied. And then your fucking bags are all out in the parking lot. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, dumpster fire, dude.
Oh, yeah.
There's no other way to describe it. But dumpster fires could also be used to describe the San Diego Chargers against the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Zimmer's defense forced 7 turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
And converted that into 20 points, slapped him 39-10.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Rivers, wild man.
Old Yeller, dude.
Does not take care of the ball. Well, the Vikings have won 4 of their last 5.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a game against Green Bay on Monday night. So the Vikings are right in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a dub, dude. Especially, like I said, the Packers are frauds. I'm sure the Vikings, like you said, they're red hot. Their defense is playing lights out. I draft them in fantasy every year. I was actually going to bring that up. I think me and you were in the the loser bracket playoff. And I lost to you by like 5 points, even though my defense put up like 36. But no one else really decided to show up and play that week, so that was cool. But yeah, man, the Vikings are getting red hot at the right time. I know they had a few struggles defensively, which is kind of weird with Mike Zimmer being a defensive guru and all the fucking studs they have on that side of the ball. But they figured it out, and like you said, what was it, 7 forced turnovers? Is just fucking insane. But I think it's Phillip Rivers. It's his last chapter. I think we have to close the book on give him the old yeller, take him out to the back, load up that 45, take one last drag of that cigarette, flick it into the grass, exhale. Good night. Thank you for everything you did for this league. I'm sure the Vikings are thankful for all the balls he was handing out. Melvin Gordon got benched too during the game. I mean, it's just the fucking...
After 2 fumbles.
Yeah, which is crazy too, because like, it's the NFL. Like, yeah, guys fumble. Like every time I think of someone having a fumbling problem in the NFL, it always takes me back to Tiki Barber for the Giants. Like, he was a great running back, but that motherfucker, I swear, just lathered that bitch in butter before every game, and he would just fumble if you sneezed on him. But other than that, like, who really in the NFL is like a fumble problem? I know Chris Carson's got a little bit of an itch, but yeah, it's not nearly as bad as how Melvin Gordon's been. And getting benched for it in the NFL, like, that's just like speaks volumes into the Lakers, or not the Lakers, the LA Chargers team, and all the problems they got going on inside there. Like, it's like Phillip Rivers just throwing Hail Marys up to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and hoping for the best, you know? And that's not winning football, obviously. And that's why you get thrashed 39-10. But yeah, time to go.
Yeah. Injury report from that game. Dalvin Cook injured his shoulder on the opening drive of the second half and did not return.
That's right.
That'll certainly be something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to fight that injury-prone label, and if the Vikings want to make any kind of deep run, they're going to need him.
Yeah, 100%. I forget who their backup running back is. I believe it's Madison or whatever, but he's a pretty dynamic guy too. So, I mean, yeah, it sucks that you don't have Dalvin Cook. Obviously, he's one of the top guys in the league. He's had an outstanding year, but he does have a case of the bruises, a little fragile bones, and drinking enough milk as a little boy. But yeah, I mean, I think he should be right. Kirk Cousins having a hell of a year. Adam Thielen's back. Stephon Diggs has been playing well. Defense, like I said, is definitely back up to par. And they got a stable of young running backs, so I think they should be okay. And they're definitely going to be a problem in that NFC gauntlet of the playoffs that are coming up.
That's right. And we have your team, the Cowboys against the Rams. Before I'll let you say your piece on this one. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll just go ahead and like open up the Pandora's box on this one. You texted me, I believe, in around the third quarter when we were up 31-7, which we were sitting pretty good, and then the Rams, got 2 touchdowns in garbage times. That's why the score looks a little bit better than it was. It's weird, man, because you're like, well, how you feel, dude? I mean, y'all fucking clapped the Rams. Obviously, they were playing well. They were on a streak of wins, and I feel like they were kind of getting their mojo back. And they were in the hunt for the playoffs. This was a huge game for them. I mean, not really for us, because the fucking NFC least obviously is complete horseshit. But this was really like their chance to, make an impression on the league, beat, what you want to say, a good team or a talented team. And keep their playoff hopes alive, but they dropped the ball. I know Jared Goff banged his thumb on a helmet or whatever, and around late in the second quarter, and that whatever. It is what it is. If that's what you're gonna chalk it up to, they just got fucking obliterated in the trenches. But I think it's a case of getting hot at the right time. I think it's a game that they had to win. I mean, this is for if you're looking into the future for the playoffs or whatever, a game they had to win as a confidence kind of thing, a kind of notch on the belt, something to poke your chest. Their first win against a team that's over 500. I mean, it's pretty sad this late into the season, but I mean, it's a good win regardless. And it just shows that, like, when the Cowboys can play their, DNA of football, they can just own. They had 2 running backs over 100 yards, obviously Zeke, and then Tony Pollard's been an outstanding rookie running back and a good number 2 for Dak Prescott and Zeke as well. And the defense, even without Van Der Esch, we're missing a couple guys on the defensive line. Sean Lee he had like a pectoral strain and a quad injury, and he still played. Fucking was bleeding all over his pants for some weird reason. And, a handful of defensive injuries, and they just completely blanked the Rams. So I don't know. They're like the Texans to me. They're like they have a shit ton of talent with a terrible coach, and they're crazy unpredictable, and this might have sparked a fire. And they could go on a fucking tear in the NFC playoffs, and definitely end some historic seasons for a couple other clubs. But I don't know, dude. It's shitty because I want them to do well because I'm a fan, and like since I've been alive, obviously I was born right after the Big Three's dynasty that they had going on. I want them to do well. I want them to make a push in the playoffs, but I don't want Jason Garrett. So it's a shitty ass like seesaw that I'm on by myself, just watching it just develop in front of me. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, to clarify for our listeners, I had texted you and I said, as good as this win must feel, is it bad for the Cowboys long term? Thinking, Dallas, they win the division, they get that home playoff game. They could certainly win one at home.
Yeah.
They have the talent there, but beating this Rams team and a playoff win would most likely mean that Jason Garrett comes back.
Yep.
With how bad Jerry Jones is. And you responded they could possibly win a Super Bowl.
Possibly.
So I'd like to welcome our guest, Skip Bayless, to the podcast.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That is such a Cowboys fan. Your team beats one team over 500, and I asked you how you think it's going to help or hurt you, and you bring up the Super Bowl. And I was like, what is this dude fucking smoking?
Yeah. Well, let me break it down.
Worst case is you win a playoff game and Jason Garrett is still your coach.
Yeah, I know.
And that game, you got to beat the Rams. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They've been fucking all over the map this season. And you bring up the Super Bowl. I was blown away that you could even go there at 7-7, being in the NFC.
Yeah. Well,
you want to compare them to the Texans. The Texans beat the Patriots. The Texans fucking can play the Chiefs. They can get blown out by the Ravens. The Cowboys have beat one team over 500 this season, and they're 7-7, and they still might not make the playoffs. I would be very worried about the Eagles.
Yeah, this is okay.
I know.
Okay, yeah, all right. So I'm sure as soon as I sent that, as soon as I did send that, the immediate the bubble shit popped up. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And but this is what I was thinking. I was thinking of it because I'm not like a fucking diehard oblivious. I mean, you might say I'm oblivious Cowboys fan, but I was thinking of it out of the chance. I was like, there is a possibility of a Super Bowl run because of what I said. The amount of talent on that team is ridiculous, right? And if you get hot at the right time, shit happens, right? It's one game at a time. So any given Sunday, anything can fucking happen.
So you win one game to go 7-7, and you start talking about the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm just saying that because we are still in playoff contention. So there is a chance. There's a chance that we're going to play one at home. There's a real with the amount of talent that we have, there is a possibility that
I'll give you a home win.
Yeah, but still
the Cowboys do not advance past divisional weekend.
I don't know. But that's the shitty part. I would want to see it, like I said, as a Cowboys fan, that'd be fucking dope. But I don't want to because I don't want Jason Garrett. And the reason we are going to lose those games, if we do or if we don't, whatever, it's going to be because of coaching. Like, we're going to get out-coached, obviously. That's how it's going to pan out.
Special teams.
Yeah, that too. Fuck, special teams coaching. Like, some bullshit, bro. It's just, like, no one can, like, line up against them, like, I have way more talent than you across the board, and we're just going to outplay you. Like, that's just how it is. And it's gonna come down to X's and O's like it always does. And Jason Garrett is just obviously just took fucking bullet point after bullet point to the fucking forehead on how he's been out-coached by me, by commentators, by analysts, this, that, and the other. But Jerry Jones is sitting up in that box with his fucking jet black shades on, ignoring all the signs that are saying fire this man. And it can be, if he wins a playoff game, maybe 2, and then we get bounced, we play a really good team in the NFC championship or whatever, then Jerry's probably going to stay. Or Jason's probably going to stay. And it's going to be a fucking nightmare. And it's crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Right now, the Dallas Cowboys are looking at the 11-3 49ers coming to town.
Yeah. But that's an NFC least for you.
They are doing the least. But you know who is doing the most?
Hey.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matty Ice Ryan, taking it to the 49ers.
Yeah.
And beating their former offensive coordinator that left them high and dry after that Super Bowl catastrophe.
Yep.
Falcons beat the 49ers 29-22, shaking up the entire NFC for the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit caught me off guard, dude, because I started watching a little bit of the game. Me and the wife had to step out. Left my car at work because I got my entire face ripped out of my mouth, like I said. So I was missing during the game, and I texted you, and I was like, yo, what's the NFC playoff picture looking like after the Seahawks and Niners game? You're like, oh, the Niners lost. And I was like, what? You're like, yeah, the Falcons beat the Niners. Now they're in the number 5 spot after dropping one game, and Seattle's in the number 1. And I was like, what the fuck? That is the most Matt Ryan / Dan Quinn just fucking chaos. Like, they beat the Saints, they beat the Niners, like they're paving the way for the Seahawks to get, that first round bye and, have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And it's fucking insane. There was literally one drive, Matt Ryan threw the ball to Julio Jones 5 times and they scored a touchdown. I was like, where has this been all year? Like, just throw the ball to fucking Julio and Calvin Ridley and you'll be all right. Like, you'll probably get in a shootout because y'all's defense is terrible, but you should be good. And, they show up against good teams, and then they get fucking kicked in the teeth against shit teams. So, other takeaway is George Kittle. I don't know if there's like a contract or blood agreement or whatever the fuck to just let George Kittle run down the field wide open. This dude had 13 receptions for 134 yards. I believe like at halftime or like early in the third, fucking Jimmy Garoppolo only had like 16 completions and 13 of them were to George Kittle, and he had like 146 yards and 134 of them were to George Kittle. And I was like, well, there you go. Like, stop letting this guy run fucking wide open now. He's the biggest dude on the field. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? But people, for some reason, don't understand that the Niners like to run down your throat and throw it to George Kittle. And, it still wasn't enough, unfortunately, for them. But that shit still blows my mind. Sorry, I had to go on that little tangent, but...
Sounds like Jimmy G isn't all that great. But this 49ers team is 3-3 in their last 6 after starting 8-0.
Mm-hmm.
So, wins over Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Washington, Carolina. And their first real game, they lost to Seattle. Everyone brushed it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Then they lose to Baltimore. Should have lost to New Orleans. They beat them. George Kittle refused to go down.
Yep.
And then they lose to Atlanta. So I think this 49ers team is kind of crashing back down to earth, and they're not these world beaters that they may have been portrayed as earlier in the year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at their losses though. They lost to Baltimore in a close one, 2017. Obviously, Legatron blitzed that bitch. Kicker U, shout out to University of Texas. He knocked it down. His time expired. They got a fucking insane shootout with the Saints at New Orleans, which is a hard place to win, especially if you're getting in a shootout with them. So then you're like, okay, they're cool. And then they drop one to Atlanta. So their respectable losses would have been like Baltimore and Seattle, because they're both obviously two of the top teams in the league. And I think they got complacent, honestly, is what it was. And it is what it is.
Little post-Saints hangover.
Yeah, I think they were riding high. They're like, oh, we got the fucking Falcons, and they don't have an identity. Like, it's Dan Quinn's, like you said a couple weeks ago, the Falcons are just prolonging his firing by winning just weird games like this. And I don't know, they're a good team. Like, obviously, like, their defense is insane. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a fraud. He doesn't have like jump off the page stats. I mean, he's 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns to 11 picks. I mean, that's not great, but it's not bad either.
No, I mean, he's a great game manager. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but I don't know. They're still a scary team for sure. But obviously, that defense and run game, and then George Kittle's a fucking nightmare, and people for some reason don't like to cover this guy. But yeah, the Falcons snuck up on him. Like I said, paving the way for the Seahawks. I'm pretty sure Pete Carroll's got some tea on Dan Quinn that he might leak if things start to fall off the hayway, but we'll see.
Definitely something to watch. And then we had last night's game. Buffalo and the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Steelers fighting for a shot, and Buffalo ended up clinching a playoff spot.
Yep.
With 2 weeks to go.
Yeah. This is, their second playoff bout in 3 years? So
that's right.
Not bad, man. They're definitely turning around their franchise. It's great, great to see it. It's their first time with 10 wins since like 1990 or some shit like that. It's been a while. So, shout out to the Bills. Good for them. Josh Allen, not the prettiest game. It was one of those like AFC like defensive gritty kind of games, which both teams are. 13-25, 139, touchdown, interception. Singletary had a decent game. Day on the ground with 87 yards rushing. Duck, our guy, had a rough one. Had a couple shots late in the game to win it, and just kept throwing fucking interceptions. He was underthrowing 50-50, like back in the end zone, jump balls, and wasn't managing the clock too well. 4 interceptions. But it's all right, though. We'll give him that one. I think everybody in America finally got to see the Bills on national TV, and their defense that they have is pretty fucking good. We've said it time and time again. They got Tre'Davious White, obviously, is a fucking goon over there on that island. But they got a bunch of other guys.
Yeah, arguably Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
But the same could be said for T.J. Watt. I mean, if you're someone that likes defense, that was a great game last night.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they got a bunch of no-name kind of guys on the Bills. I mean, not no-name. They got, like, no one that really jumps off other than, like, Tre'Davious White and then, like, Ed Oliver, the rookie phenom that's had a really good year on the interior defensive line. But they just play well as a unit. They play gritty. They fuck with their coach. They buy into the system. And they did what they had to do. I mean, 10-4, a dub is a dub. I mean, we said that time and time again. It is the NFL. It is a business. If you're winning, it's a good day in the office. But congrats to the Bills. Hopefully they can win the AFC East. That'd be fucking great. I'd be so stoked for that. Especially for all them fucking Boston fans out there. But, yeah, sorry to get that off my chest. A little built-up aggression, sorry.
All right. Bills have a shot to win the division. And the sky might start falling in Boston. We got a couple Boston guys we might have to check up on if the Bills end up winning the division.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the Patriots versus the Jets, very winnable games, especially the way that the Bills play. very, very winnable. Be sitting at 12-4, number 1 seed in the AFC East. That would be something. That would be a sight to see, for sure, especially for those Buffalo fans. So we're pulling for you out there. Hopefully you can knock off the Empire and, pass the torch to Josh Allen. He might be the next TB12, just a little more athletic.
Well, yeah, Tom Brady with wheels and a cannon.
Yeah, 100%.
But right about now is when we would typically start doing our Thursday night prediction. Next week, no Thursday night football. You don't have to worry about a shitty game. We have 3 games on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we will certainly hit those with the rest of our preview next Thursday.
Absolutely.
This Thursday. But that's going to do it for our NFL Roundup.
Alrighty. Also, thank you once again for tuning into another episode of The Rundown. We love all the loyalty and support. Keep spreading the word and the good news to all the lovely folks during the holiday season so they can tune in and get caught up on what's about to happen. If you enjoy the content and want more throughout the week other than our 2 uploads on Tuesday morning and Friday morning, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheRundownPod_ or on Instagram, the IG, at The Rundown Pod Sports. Don't forget, this was brought to you by Modern Sports Media Group. Go ahead and give them a follow as well. That would give us a ton of support and help, and them as well. We love you so very much, and until next time, peace.
Go Hawks.